All right, I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Finance and Administration Committee. Present are myself, Commissioner Lockard, Pat Stasio, John Bates, and Brianna Bryant, the solicitor. Okay. Any presentations or announcements?
There are none.
Okay. Public comments, non-agenda items only.
I just want to make one that the board met in executive session before the committee meetings to discuss real estate issues.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. Hope I'm doing this right. Okay, first, the approval of the November 25th, 2024 minutes.
Yeah, I don't have any comments.
Me neither. Okay. All right, and acceptance and approval of the following monthly reports. Director of Finance. Just go through.
Yeah,
Tax enforcement, investment activity, quarterly bond issue, quarterly capital reserve, and quarterly restricted funds.
I don't have any questions or comments on that. John, you don't have anything to add on those, right?
Nothing pertaining to those, no.
Okay. Next up, revenue and expense summaries. Anything?
Just an overarching comment. The committee had asked earlier in terms of where the township ended as a whole. I'm happy to report that the township's general fund in 24 ended in a net positive position in terms of revenue over expenses. The finance department is currently working through any of those remaining expenses as we continue to gather those in to put them back into 2024 business. Typically, we get through a month, 2 months, and then we're still accruing for any of those items as those numbers come in. So we continue to do that. And then after a planned transfer to our capital reserve fund for capital improvement projects, show our current estimates right now as an approximate $250,000 positive. So
That's great.
that's great. So
$150,000 more revenue than expenses.
correct.
For
And
20.
our goal obviously is not to,
Right, we had budgeted that we might have to even
Yeah.
take some from reserve, so that's
but it
great.
just goes to show that the amount of work that the board and the staff put into the 2020 all budgets to be as close as we are is a good step in the right direction.
Yep.
Certainly credit to you, Pat, and the staff, so thank you. Okay, all right, personnel. We have the reappointment of Bonnie McDonald on the Historical Commission for a new 3-year term expiring the end of 2027.
I'm good to move that forward.
The reappointment of Udo Marone to the Historical Commission for a new term also ending 2027.
Good?
All right, Stephen Worthington, also to the Historical Commission ending 2027.
Yep. And these people all said that they did want to continue.
Okay. Okay, and number 4, the reappointment of Sharia Wallace to the Human Relations Commission.
Yeah, let's put that one on hold until we connect with her.
Okay, yeah, we're going to table that one for now. All right, the reappointment of Kelly Hines to the Human Relations Commission for a 3-year term ending 2027.
I'm good?
The appointment of Margaret Holscher to the Parks and Rec Advisory Council to fill the Ward 2 vacancy, a 2-year term expiring August 2026.
Yep, that's one. Go ahead.
Meg is already on the Parks and Rec Advisory Council as an at-large person. There's an opening for the ward appointment. The idea is to move Meg from at-large to ward appointment, which will free up an at-large position.
Yep.
Meg has agreed to that.
Yes. Yep, I've been in contact with her. She seems excited about the new position, so that's good. Okay. Okay, the reappointment of Dan Swedberg as Ward 5 representative on the Parks and Rec Advisory Council, a 2-year term ending 2026. Start with me.
Yep.
Appointment of Mark Rosenbaum as the Ward 7 representative on Parks and Rec Advisory Council, ending 2026.
Yep, that's a new one for Ward 7. So appreciate his being interested in that.
Okay, and the reappointment of James Morrison to the EAC, Environmental Advisory Council, for a 3-year term expiring January 2027.
Good.
Okay, reappointment of Carl Feisenmeyer to the EAC for a 3-year term ending January 27.
Good with that. Appreciate all these people wanting to be reappointed. And then, are there any public comments on any of those appointments or reappointments? Or on the, I forget if we did on the financial reports either. Any public comments? Okay.
Okay, and finally, the Resolution R 2025 of John Bates as voting delegate and Pat Stasio as alternate delegate on the Tax Collection Committee.
So
So all we're
I didn't
doing,
know about the tax collection committee.
all we're doing here is relisting myself and Pat, who needs to replace the former township manager as the secondary voter.
Okay. And that committee, does it,
So the tax collection committee meets, we just had a meeting in January. That's basically, and they handle the reappointment of Berkheimer as the earned income tax collector
Oh,
and
okay.
those types of issues as well. So every municipality in Montgomery County has a representative, typically the finance director and/or the township manager, that needs to be there to approve or vote on any expenditures for that year.
thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move that forward, right?
Yes. Okay, next is the list of vacancies. We have a vacancy, actually, 1, 2, 3, 4 vacancies on the Historical Commission, 2 vacancies on the Parks and Rec Advisory Council, and 1 vacancy on the Joint Sewer Authority. Any comment?
Nope, just if you're interested, please send an email to Pat Stasio, pstasio@uppermoreland.org with your interest and resume.
Okay, old business. Recommendation to approve and award bid at the February 3rd, 2025 meeting for the Maryland Road Culvert Improvement Project.
Commissioner comments, if I may, thank you. The culvert under Maryland Road has been found to be in disrepair and in need of service. The township applied for a grant with the help of Bowman Traffic Engineers, and we received a grant in the amount of $897,375 to do this project. 10% of that number can be used for inspections during the project. The bids, which are attached, and recommendations made from Bowman have verified companies on there, and the low bid came in at $680,079.25. The inspection costs are $98,000. Total project cost is $778,000. Almost all of that will be paid entirely through the grant. There is a balance that the township owe of $9,062.50. That's the inspection amount that was not covered by the 10% that the grant handled. This project is time sensitive. We do want to move on this quickly. After speaking with Bowman, the Bi-State Construction Company, which was the lowest bidder, is qualified and verified, and I would recommend that we move forward at the February regular meeting to approve them as the contractor.
Okay, that's fine with me. I feel like this has been in the pipeline for a while, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's an important project we had to do. It's awesome. The township got a grant to cover the cost, majority of the cost.
Okay.
Any public comments?
All right. New business. Request to the Pennsylvania Municipal League for advocacy regarding the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission's one-call system regulations.
So a few years ago, if I may, Commissioner, the PUC put in new regulations if there's an emergency or any item that needed immediate attention, that the township must send a crew out to mark any underground utilities or underground storm pipes or sewage pipes. And they must also then go back to the computer and enter that information into the computer. The time period is 2 hours to get that done. What happened up Moreland recently on two or three occasions. The call came in around 2 in the morning that there was an accident. And there were different scenarios, but the first was it was 2 a.m. and they sent an email to our Public Works Director, who was asleep at the time, did not see the email. When he woke, he sent a crew out. They verified that there was nothing there for Upper Moreland Township and completed the form online. We did not meet the 2-hour timeline, so we received a fine. A second occurrence was there was an accident. There was no Upper Moreland utilities in the area. We notified PICO and others who did have utilities, and we did not go into the computer system and click the box that said there was no Upper Moreland, and we were fined for that. The difficulty with this is the Public Works Department has 2 hours to first be notified of the issue, gather a crew, send a crew, mark the information, return to the office, go into the software, and click check boxes what we've done. It's very difficult to do within 2 hours. So we appealed those fines. We had never gotten a fine before. We appealed those fines. Our solicitor's office went to court for us, and we're told that they are not allowed to speak on our behalf. Only our Public Works Director could speak on our behalf, who certainly explained the situation, but doesn't know the ins and outs of the legal world.
Legal jargon.
And if you read the attached letter from that our solicitor crafted after the board asked the solicitor to craft it, it states in there that it's really a difficult process for Upmoreland Township. There's stronger language used in that letter. We have since talked to the PUC, and they're going to send a text message to us as well as an email. So again, 2 or 3 in the morning, our Public Works Director's phone may vibrate for a text or ring for a text. He would have to hear that. He would have to send a crew. Many times, if it's an accident and he doesn't hear the text message, the police will call him and say, hey, we need you to come in. If it doesn't involve us, he might not get the phone call. So we think the system is flawed. In particular, the way they fine us, and then secondarily, the way we can respond to a fine. And the board had heard some of this previously from Dave Elsear and asked the solicitor to prepare the letter, which is attached, and that's for your review. And I would recommend that we move forward with this and send this out. And we are trying to gather support through other municipalities. And by the way, it's not just municipalities, other agencies to discuss this.
Okay, where it came from PML. When I heard about it, I had asked Sean about this and Alex. I'm vice president of the state for the Pennsylvania Association of Commissioners. So I asked them to get involved, the Pennsylvania Municipal League. We pay them. So they are part of the organization that we're already involved in. From there, they went to all second-class townships also, and boroughs, which they represent. So really, it's going across the state. Our state committee has recommended to spend some of our lobbyist money that the state has that we use. So we are fighting it. That's kind of where the Pennsylvania Municipal League ended up getting involved, because I had asked Sean and Alex, could you write a letter here and let's see what every other municipal is doing in this state.
Yeah, is there feedback on that yet from other municipalities?
Pardon me?
Do you know if there's feedback yet on that from other municipalities? Are they upset
No, our
about
meeting
it?
is February 4th, or February 7th is when I'll probably find out from that. So, but that's where that's why we got them involved.
Okay, I mean, I'm fine to go forward with that, Pat. Okay, any public comment on that? Okay, all right, next, draft resolution settling application fees for permits to conduct special events.
You may recall, Commissioner, that the township passed a special events ordinance very recently. In the ordinance, fees were not part of that ordinance. This is the fee structure to partner with that ordinance, and we're asking the board to move this fee structure forward. We would, if the board so approves, we would advertise the ordinance. We will advertise the ordinance for review so that we can pass this ordinance. The date of the advertisement is to be determined.
Cheryl, I'm fine with that forward.
Yeah, I don't have any
Yeah.
comments or questions. I'm good.
All right, any public comment? Okay, the next item is, the compensation for the, tax collector.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll speak on this one as well. The Upper Moreland tax collector and treasurer are two separate roles. The tax collector is an elected position and the treasurer is an appointed position. The tax collector has asked for an increase in his compensation as his duties as treasurer for Upper Moreland Township. The tax collector rate is set at a maximum that the state allows. However, the treasurer is compensated by Upper Moreland Township. The rate has not increased since 2013. So the treasurer is asking for an increase, which will amount to $4,035 in 2026. And then thereafter asking for an increase of 2.5% or the cost of living increase, which is if it's less than the 2.5%. So for 2026, he's asking for a $4,035 raise. Thereafter, for 27, 28, and 29, the increase would be 2.5%, or the cost of living, if the cost of living is less than 2.5%. The tax collector is also asking for an increase in the cost of tax duplicates from $5 to $7, and the cost of tax certificate fees from $35 to $40. And this would be for the time period of 26 through 2029. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have in this regard.
Can I? Yes, okay. So the total pay for the position is $36,900, is that right?
$10,000 as a tax collector and $26,900 as the treasurer.
And
Currently.
what percentage of a full-time position is it?
That position staffs the office 37 and a half hours a week, I believe it is.
Oh, it's
Monday through
full-time?
Friday, yeah.
Oh, okay. So my comment on this is that, yeah, I agree then with the increase. However, with the 15% increase, however, the 2.5% cost of living each year, I feel like we don't have that for other positions like the zoning hearing board or the board of commissioners. I don't really like having a set increase every year. That's just my opinion. And then as far as the fees, let's see, we did increase that in 2022.
That's correct.
And that's something that our residents pay. So, I mean, unless we're a lot lower than other municipalities, I would not support an increase in those fees yet.
Yeah, I'd have to agree, certainly about the fees, especially if it's the residents who are paying it. I mean, 15%, I mean, that does seem a little steep, but I understand. I mean, it's been, 12 years since that compensation has gone up, so I get that. The cost,
The tax collector is here, the tax collector treasurer is here if you'd like,
okay.
if you want to hear anything from him, if you have questions that I can't answer.
Okay?
Thank you, Commissioner.
So it's a full-time position, huh?
It is, and
I
there's
didn't realize
also a
that.
part-timer that I employ that I pay, that we're both in the office together occasionally. The fees, the $5 duplicate bill fee and the $35 tax certification fee is not charged to residents. Those
Oh, it's
fees-
not?
No, if a resident comes in here, they don't have to pay to get another bill. And if they come in here and want a history of their payments, they get it for free. The tax certification is something that's required by title companies that realtors get when somebody buys a house, sells a house, or tries to refinance. So those fees are paid by title companies or realtors. If a
Both of
resident-
those fees, both the duplicate and the tax certification
The
fees?
duplicate is something different. Most of the time, duplicate bill fees are paid by third-party companies who pay the taxes for mortgage companies. So we mail the tax bill to the resident, and oftentimes the resident doesn't forward it to their mortgage company. So these third-party billers pay us to send them another bill. It doesn't have anything to do with the residents.
Okay, that's good to
So
know.
those fees are not paid by the residents. The only time a tax certification fee would be paid by a resident, for example, Bob Mathers, who happens to live in Upper Moreland, but he does it as a realtor, he has to pay for a tax certification. If a resident comes in and wants a tax certification, they do have to pay for that, but that's very rare. We give them all their history of payments, which they often come in for, no problem, for free. But the actual tax certification, which is a legal document that's used at settlement, they would have to pay for that.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Glad you were here to explain that.
Yeah, and these new fee amounts, are they in line with,
So the closest, we sent out a survey. Unfortunately, most of the tax collectors didn't respond to the survey, but Springfield Township is a similar size to Upper Moreland. And they currently charge $10 for a duplicate bill fee and $50 for a tax certification. There are tax certifications range from $20 to $50, sometimes more if it's expedited. We have one set fee even if it's expedited. We do them the same day we get them. But most tax collectors are not full-time like we are. They're a part-time position, so it might be a week before they reply to a tax certification. And their duplicate bill fee, like I said, is $10. So it ranges from $2 to $10 for duplicate bill fees, and it ranges from $20 to $50 for tax certifications. But the closest one in comparison would be Springfield. They have similar number of parcels that we do, a little bit smaller. But they're one of the communities that did reply to the survey, and that's their fees.
so we'll move this forward for the board?
There's another part to this.
Okay.
This decision has to be decided by February 15th because it has to be before folks announce if they're running for the position so they know the compensation. The tax collector treasurer compensation is set by ordinance. In order to have an ordinance, you have to have a 7-day advertisement. We are within our 7 days, so we cannot move this forward for February 3rd. So what I'm asking the board is to hold a special meeting on February 10th before our committee meeting at 7 o'clock. And the two agenda items will be the tax collector, if the board moves forward, the tax collector treasurer compensation, and then a resolution discussing these fees that we just talked about here. Those would be two agenda items for February 10th. If the board does want to move forward, we will advertise this Sunday that there will be ordinances heard on February 10th, and there will be a special meeting on February 10th. And if we advertise this Sunday, that's 8 days ahead of the meeting, and that is legal. We can't go less than 7. We have to go more than 7. So we would need a special meeting.
I'm in favor of advertising and moving it forward. Okay.
You want me to address the COLA issue?
Oh, sure.
So in the past, the tax collectors' compensation did not have increases. However, this time the county, they also gave us an increase, and they tied the annual increase into a salary board decision where they used I think one or two of the unions in the county, and whatever increase they get, the tax collectors get 1% less than that. So the COLA that I put in there were 2.5% or less if COLA is less. I think historically has been less than what the other employees in the township have received. If Mr. Stasio might be able to talk about that.
It would be less than what the unions received. In the past, the tax collector, once the compensation was set, it was set for a 4-year period or longer. There were no increases during the tenure of that 4-year elected cycle. This would be a change to what we've done in the past. It is something that the county has done, and it might be something that begins throughout the tax world. I don't know that answer.
So does this position, is there pay for this position also from the county then?
Yeah, so the county pays per unit, per parcel, for us to send out a bill and collect those taxes. The township taxes are included in that. And also, there's a proposal before the school board tomorrow night for a very similar increase
Okay,
that their business manager has proposed.
So the school pays part of this additional?
The school
the vote
pays,
fee?
we also send out a separate school tax bill, as you know, and they compensate us for sending them out and for collecting that money, $56 million.
Okay. So before, it would be helpful for me if we could, before the next meeting, the full board meeting, if we can see what the total compensation is for the position. And then, are there benefits too?
No
that we pay?
benefits.
No benefits, okay.
And like I said, I also pay a part-time employee out of that money.
Okay.
We can get that
But I
information.
think we definitely want to move it forward for change. Just not sure exactly what the change is yet.
We'll get the compensation package for you to review prior to that meeting.
Thank you.
Good, move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, any commissioner comments? Public comments? Okay. Okay, next, discuss authorization of signers on TD Bank as a depository for the township.
So in a similar situation to the tax collection committee signature update that we needed, that we discussed earlier this evening, we need to do the same thing for this one account that we had, that the township has with TD Bank. There's only one account, this account, and this took some digging to find. So the township back in 2017 was required to set up funds in a depository account when they went out to the general note in 2017. TD Bank had a requirement that this money needed to be set aside, and it just sat there for the length of the term. In 21, when the township went out to that note, the TD Bank note was paid off as part of those funds. Basically, now we have to update the signatures to myself and Pat because we are two managers removed from the name that is on that account.
Is that right?
So I'm updating it. So currently what we need to do now is draft a resolution to update these signatures before the bank will do anything with myself and Pat. And then the board can then decide what we want to do with those funds. It doesn't necessarily, in my opinion, make sense to keep them with TD Bank because we have no other accounts there. This was only set up for the purpose of TD Bank holding that note back in 17.
But for now, you're just changing the signatures.
Soon as
And
we
then you
get-
would come back to the board to
And
make
then,
any
yes,
other
and then I
changes.
can go and then we can move forward with whatever the board decides to do.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay.
So, and just as an aside, there has not been any other activity besides accrued interest in that account dating back to, I believe, 2021. So,
All right, commissioner comments, public comment. Okay, next, tax assessment appeal between the township, the school district, and the taxpayer, the Gardens at Willow Grove LLC for their property located at 409 Easton Road.
Did you have anything to add to this, Brianna?
Nothing other than the attachments that were in the packet.
Okay, so it was an assessment appeal filed by the school district, and they have negotiated a settlement and are asking us for our approval. One question I did want to know, so the tax collector confirms these numbers in here for the tax amounts due, is that right? Because it seems like there's always some issues on these, like the millage rate doesn't look right, and it's the same for all 3 years, so I just want to make sure it goes to the tax collector to
okay,
review the
yep.
amounts.
We'll confirm that, yep.
Thank you. Other than that, I don't have any other questions. I'm good to move it forward.
Yeah, I am as well.
Okay.
That's fine. Fine with me. Okay, next, tax assessment appeal between the township, the school district, and Barbara A. Jacqueline for her property at 705 Easton Road.
So again, the school district reached a negotiated settlement with the owner, just asking for us our approval. So I'm good with it.
Yep, I am as well. And then the next item is for the same person, but for a property located at 709 Easton Road.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Any other commissioner or public comments?
Okay. All right, well then, there's no new business, so meeting is adjourned.